Hi everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I am so excited to show you or introduce to you our new unique sewing machine cover pattern and how to make it. And let's jump in. You can see already I've got one sewn up right here off to the side, and see how fun it is. And this is specifically, this size here is specifically for the Unique 21 or any 21 series of machine that we have. Now I will have all the different sizes and specifications for the other machines out there. So if you want to use this pattern for your own machine, that's great. So let's go through and jump in and show you how to make this cute little cover for your sewing machine. So let me jump in and say I have tried really hard to make this as scrappy as possible and as easy as possible. And it was a little challenge for me to figure out the sizes and how to put it all together to make a cute little cover, because I didn't want it to be boring and I wanted it to be exciting and I wanted you to have ease in making it. So let's jump in and talk about it. Okay. So first of all, it's done in about 5 different sections, okay? So you have your 2 side panels right here. You have the front side panel and the back side panel, and then you'll have your top, and then you'll have these 2 side panels as well. So so those are your 5 little sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And here on this one, I've shown you a couple different designs and how to make it, but feel free to interject your own ideas and what you want to do to make it your own. Now, I used the little star, the sawtooth star on this one here, but notice I used my own imagination right here on this one. I did the eye and the heart because I had some extra hearts left over and a little Q. So it means I love Unique or I love quilting. So however you want to use that is however however you want to do it. So anyway, and it's the same way on the back side. It's just, and it says I heart Q on the back side as well. And then on the side panels right here, the front and the back panel, I just did strips on this side. And I did the little extra heart because I didn't want it to go to waste. So you just do it however you want. Now, on this one on the table, I will give you how to make the stars. Real simple, easy technique for sewing these together. And I did 3 different colors. I have had this, this fabric right here with the little sunflowers hanging around for years. And it's like, what was I ever going to do with it? So I decided to pull it out and use it for these little dust covers for the sewing machines. But notice I have the 3 sections on it. So I have a side, and the side is the same one. I'm using the same colored stars, and then my top. And I made the stars 10 inches, so they're 30 inches, and I added a little sashing in between just to finish off the length of it. So for your 2 side panels, they will need to be however you want to piece them together. I don't care. They will need to be 38 inches long this way by 18 inches wide. So it's 38 long by 18 wide. This is also 38 long by 18 wide, and so is this one. So it's really easy to make those calculations and sew them together. Now, you could strip piece if you have a lot of extra scraps hanging around. It looks just as cute and just as fun. Or you could do it one solid panel, make it easy peasy. So anyway, let's jump in and show you. Now that I've sewn all of these together and I've pieced them, you're going to sew all 3 of them together. This is when you will go to the quilting frame and start quilting and doing whatever quilting you want. Now, when you're doing your quilting, you can add some lining to it. I don't care how thick or heavy of lining you want to use. On this one, on the top, I used a real heavy lining. On the side panels, I used a little medium. So you choose whatever you have hanging around the house or whatever lining you want to use. You can use the iron-on. You can use the sewing kind where you just sew around it and it's pieced. whatever's easiest for you. I don't want you to have to go out and buy a lot of extra things to make this cover. So this is what I had. It's a little bit thinner lining. It's not going to hold the structure quite as well, but maybe you don't need it. Again, you decide what you want. Now this one is another fusible lining. It's a fleece, so it's a Pellon lining, and it's an iron-on as well. It's a little bit thicker, and maybe will give you a little bit more structure. It's what I used on the side panels here, and I really quite like it. So again, you decide. So I would probably go with a little bit heavier for the top, just to give it a little bit more structure, and then maybe this Pellon lining. Again, choose whatever you want. It's all up to you because it's your cover. Now, let me show you what I did for the front and back panels. That's these panels here, right here, this with the heart, and then this one, little strip one right here. So I just pieced together just strips of fabric, and that's all I did on it. So make sure that when you're doing these little panels, they are 17 inches wide this way by 21 inches long this way, okay? And what I did is I folded them together, and I folded them widthwise this way. Then I found a plate in my cupboard, okay? But I didn't have a plate here, so I went and I got a big old circle template. And what I did is I kind of lined all of them up. And it doesn't need to be perfect, but all I'm going to do is curve the edges to get this little rounded curve right here. And I put the plate on it, and I just kind of went like this and made my mark. And then I took my scissors and just cut all of those layers at one time, because it doesn't have to be nice and perfect. But that, remember, this is going to be your top, and this is what you're going to pin to this section. So I want to jump in and show you that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut right around my line that I've drawn right there. And like I said, it does not have to be perfect, because we're going to sew it on and nobody's ever going to know. But see, that's what it's going to look like, okay? So then, after you've done all your beautiful quilting, and that's what I did. Notice I have quilting on this that I did, some little hearts, and down below I have some, and then I just did some stitch in the ditch because I had to get this done, and I had to get it done really quick. So I just did a lot of stitch in the ditch. But I didn't really even quilt the top at all. So, you know, you don't even have to quilt it if you don't want to. You can just make the cover and call it good. So let me pull this off to the side. Right here, I need my pins handy. So just know that I'm just going to make me some room right here. And I'm just going to show you how you're going to pin this together and how easy it is. After you've done all your quilting, just let me set that right there and right there. Okay. So after you've done all your quilting and you're ready to start sewing the structure up, okay? And this is where I said, if you wanted to add a little bit of lining or interfacing to it as you're quilting it, go ahead and do it. Now's the time, so add that as another layer besides this, because see how thin this would be with the lining. Let me just show you how nice it is with the lining on it. It just gives it a little more stability and a little more structure. Oh, looks like these two got stuck together, so we'll just say that's good. But notice that as I laid that on there, how much more structure it's going to give it and a little more stability. So that's why we do that. But let's move on. Now you're going to cut this off along the edges after you've quilted it, and you're going to start from the center out. And we're going to put right sides together. And I'm going to fold it and find my center so I can center it. And notice this is my top right here. So I want to start right sides together, and this might be a little wider, but then you're just going to start pinning right along here I'll start right here. Pin, and then pin, and keep pinning as you go around this corner, this first curve. And I always do one side first and then the other side, okay? So now I'm just going to bring this in, sewing right around the curve right there, and just keep pinning. And you'll be amazed at how well it goes together. It's kind of fun. And just keep going till you get to the bottom. And this may be a little longer. I don't know. Because remember, I was doing my practice quilts and the sizes. So, and we're just going to keep pinning right along till we hit the bottom. I'm going to jump down to the bottom and show you. So that's what you're going to do. And then you're going to go over to the other side and you're going to do the same thing. So notice my sizes pretty close to the same. One may be just a tad longer. That's okay. We can cut that off after the fact, okay? So just do a couple more really quick as we're pinning. And then we'll go do the other side and then I'll show you what it looks like, because it's going to make that covered wagon look. This is what that reminds me of. I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what it reminds me of, but it reminds me of those old-fashioned covered wagons. So, and how apropos for us being in Utah and the pioneers coming across the plains and the covered wagons and the hand carts and stuff like that. So this is really a great one for them. So see how we're starting to make our little structure? And yes, you'd put lining on this so it'd make it nice. But then you're going to finish pinning the other side to it all the way around. And then you're just going to go and sew it. And you'll do one side first and then the other. And you'll have your cover wagon done in the structure. Then, after you have both ends done and sewn on, then you're going to get your lining ready. So as you're cutting out each of these, cut out an extra piece for the lining. Now the lining is the inside structure of it, just to make it nice and clean looking. And it can be a solid color. It can be kind of scrappy too if you want it to be. It can be however you want it. On this one, I just had some extra gray hanging around, so I used it. It really will make it that much easier if you cut all of these at the same time, the same length and width for the side panels, the top, and the front and the back. So just make sure that you're cutting out your lining or your inner section as well. And then after you've got the structure all sewn up, let's jump in and let me show you. Now I'm not so worried about the length because I'll take care of that and cut off the excess. Just worry about getting it sewn on and all the way around and your lining in for however you want it, okay? Now, notice this is what it's going to look like. It's kind of fun. This little piece right here, just like that. And that makes half of your covered wagon. You're going to sew from this side all the way around. And you could use 1/4 to 1/2 inch, whatever works well for you and your machine, where you're not pulling it off and you want to make sure that you're getting all the layers, okay? And then you're going to do the other side as well, okay? And then you'll pull it right side out and you'll have just this cute little cover. So now I'm going to show you how to sew the lining in and what it looks like. Because after you've done all this and you've quilted it, you're almost done, okay? So let me just show you with this big old thing. And remember, I did this for the 21, the 19 and the 15 are going to be a little different. So I left this open so that I could show you how to do this, okay? And as I'm showing you, I'm just going to show you, I have pulled this. This is what my lining looks like, okay? I have all 3 layers. I just want to show you the inside first, okay? So I have my top section, my 2 sides. This is one side, this is one side, and then my front and my back right here. Same way, cut them out the same way. This is my opening that I left open right here so I could pull them right sides out. So when I'm sewing them, I want to put them on wrong sides together. So let me show you what it looks like. As I'm pulling it out, you'll see that I did a little heavier interfacing right there on the top. Okay. There we go. And you're going to have to leave quite a bit of an opening, but you could use some bias tape if you wanted to go around it, or just some extra fabric, and then close that off at the bottom. I know you'll figure out just this great way of doing it. This is what it looks like. This is the inside, okay? So notice, okay? This is my lining here, and this is the inside. You can see I had to go around it a couple of times, but then I'm just matching up my points and pinning all the way around. And then notice how it's wrong side together. Okay, so over here is my opening, if I can find it right here, to turn it right side out. So it's like you have 2 covered wagons. If you ever thought, oh, how is that going to go together? How did she do that? This is how I did it. So no judging on all the seams, because I was trying to figure out the measurements, and you could tell right here I had to add a little extra on the lining. Who cares? But that's why if you cut them out at the same time, you'll save yourself from having to actually piece some extra pieces together. And notice I did all my quilting, my stitch in the ditch. I just had a good time. And so this will help stabilize it. So I have a really heavy, stiff lining right here that I sewed to the top, right along the edges. And now I'm just going to turn it right side out. So I'm just going to pull it, okay, and turn it right side out. And that's all you're going to do. Remember, you're just going to sew them wrong sides together, right along, but you're going to leave a nice opening to pull it right side out. And you're just going to turn it right side out and put everything back into place. Okay, there's that. And then there's this. Okay. All right. So now I have pulled it right side out. I want to make sure that as I open it up, I put my top to where my top is and just make it all nice. There we go. And you could even sew. I just didn't sew if you want to in the ditch to hold the lining there. You don't have to, but if it's something that you want to do, you could definitely do that. But again, I wanted to show you the technique. And along this bottom edge, you could sew like with a little piece of bias or whatever, and it's all good to go. So that's what it's going to look like. Want to make sure that I have everything in place. Notice I have my little turns right here, so I want to make sure that I'm pulling it all out so everything's nice and straight. There we go. There's our cover. And then we'll just put it back on. So now you can see my little heart and everything, and we'll just pretend that this is my sewing machine. And I'm putting it on when I'm not using it. There we go. And that's my covered wagon cover. So if you'll follow all these simple, easy steps It's a little time consuming, so give yourself some time, maybe even a few days to enjoy the process, but this process will help you understand your quilting machine. It'll also get you a nice cover that you'll enjoy walking into the room and seeing your beautiful quilting. So join me as I go to the machine and start machine quilting using a new machine called our unique 21 Elite machine and all the fun features that we have. So join me at the machine. Okay, so now we're here at the quilting frame, and I have put my panel on, and I don't have a backing. So I just want to show you, I'm just using my batting here as my backing, and I'm going to do all my fun quilting. But I get to introduce to you and show you our new 21 Elite machine and all the cool functions and features on it. So I'm going to jump in because I've been using this at home and absolutely love it. It's one of my all-time favorite machines that we've ever made. And with every machine, we get even better and more savvy because we learn from all the things that you have given us as quilters and told us that you need and want. We're trying to apply them. That's what makes us so unique here at Grace Company, is that not only are we innovators, but we do listen and we love our customers. So let's jump in and show you the features and functions of the 21 Elite machine, and I'm going to show you a little bit of quilting. Okay, so here we have our 21 Elite machine, and notice it's still 21 inches long, but how nice and clean it looks. It's just a beautiful machine. You have the plate that says 21X Elite on it, makes it a little higher end machine. You still have your ports for your 2 threads, so you've got your bobbin right here, and you're threading your machine quilting thread stand here. We also have what's really important, and I never really talked to you about the reason why these guides as you're threading your machine are so important, is that each of these guides has a special function and feature. The holes actually line up with the hole for the next guide. So they actually have a purpose of aligning the thread so it's going to sew more accurately and give you beautiful stitches. So as you're threading, I want you to notice how cool it is to watch the thread as it lines up with each of them. So as you're threading it, you're going to make sure that you're putting it through the disc and back around and pulling it towards you through those discs and then threading it. But what's nice here is that we have a cool feature on our 21 Elite machine, and it's our Magnifique magnifying glass. So if you have a hard time threading and getting the thread through the needle, this is really going to help you. Now, don't use it with your bifocals on, take them off, or just use your bifocals. But it's really nice, and you can position it down so you thread your needle or up out of the way because you don't want to use it to quilt with. So that's really cool and an added feature that none of our machines have. Then another feature that we really listened and changed is this nice larger screen. It has a purpose. It makes it easier for you to read and adjust, but look how beautiful it is. So it says unique right here, so I'm going to go through the screen and the functions. All right, so you'll notice that we're in the precise mode. And when you want to change modes, all you're going to do is, it's a nice touch screen, is pull it down, and then you have your select mode screen pop open. Now you can select precise, cruise, manual, or based, going through each of those. So we're just going to go up out of that. This is that you can turn it on and it'll start sewing. This is your SPI, so you can slide it up, have it go fast or a little slower. Or you can just tap the button or tap the minus. Doesn't matter. Whatever works best for you is how you're going to use it. Notice that you have over here your needle up, needle down. You have the jog feature, so you can jog the needle down. It says jog forward. And when you jog forward, it moves the needle down. When you jog backwards, it jogs back up. Now we have our needle position, so we have a single stitch. So that's what we've set this at. A single stitch is when the needle goes down and back up and makes one full single stitch. Now you can set it when you're using rulers or something like that where you want the needle in the down position, so it can be a half stitch. And I'll show you that in just a minute. So here's the needle up and down, and that you can use when you want the needle in the down position or up. And you can just tap the button and it's going to put it down if you want, or if you tap it again, it's going to bring it back up. That's just a half stitch that it's going to do. So let me go in here and let me show you some extra features in the settings. I'm going to teach you a new term today. The three little stripes here is called the hamburger menu. So something you didn't know. So we're going to tap on this little menu right here, and it's going to bring up either the help files, and here are all the little help files. So you can have the manual right here at your fingertips. If you find something that you want to know and learn about, just come in here to the manual. So here we've got preparing to quilt, where it's going to take you through your pre-quilting checklist and give you some tips and tricks of how to load your fabric on your frame and using your machine. Then it's got a little quilting section. Nice to have, because it's going to help you start out with your quilting and give you some tips on how to pull up your thread so you don't have your bobbin thread dangling down there, how to tie them off. Then it's got the maintenance menu and the troubleshooting. So each of these are very important key things that will help you as a quilter. So just know that you can go up there and tap on that menu. Now we're going to go and X out. But we're going to tap on this again because I want to go into the settings. So the settings has some really cool features, and this is how you can really hone in and set the machine to work specifically how you want it. You can adjust the screen brightness. So if you don't want it so bright, but my eyes are getting older, so I do like it bright, or if you want it down just a little bit, you can turn it down. So you can position it, or adjust it to however you like. Now we've got the needle area brightness. Now that's this area right here. Sometimes you can get a little bit of a glare, so this is really nice where you can adjust, again, the lighting. Okay, now we've got here, this is where we can adjust from a half stitch to a full stitch if we want when we come to the end and pull up our bottom thread. Right now it's on a full single stitch. Now I could just slide that over, and then it's just needle up, needle down, which is just a half stitch. So the needle will go down, and then you'll have to press the button again for it to come back up. Where the full stitch is just one button push. So let's put it back on the full stitch. Now we can have the needle stop position. So we can have it stop in the down position or the up position. So if you're using rulers or templates, you'll want it in the down position so you can sew and then stop. The needle will go down, and then you can reposition your ruler to wherever you need it and then start quilting again. Then we have the overspeed. Overspeed, sometimes we don't like it, okay? But when you're first starting to learn and understand the machine, this is a fast machine. And you probably won't ever outrun it because it stitches so fast. But the overspeed is really nice. Sometimes we as quilters, we know a pattern or design and we're really working that machine and we can outrun it. The overspeed will let you know when the machine has reached its limit and you've maxed out that speed, it'll beep at you. And that's what overspeed does. It tells you to, okay, slow down, you're moving a little faster than my needle can go up and down. So make sure that you're working within the functions of the machine and you'll get much prettier quilting. Now we've got the overspeed light. The light will also flash as you're moving past the speed of the machine's max. So make sure you're looking for that light, but sometimes we don't want to take it off. So hearing the sound is a little bit better. It's like the backup on your car. You can hear it rather than see it, okay? So those are just some really cool functions that you can really set and make your own to whatever setting you like. So let's get back out of here. Now we're back on the home screen. Let's go into the toolbox here. Now, the toolbox has so many cool features. It has a ruler where you can measure the width of your quilt. Now, you can't measure the length, okay, on the frame, so make sure you're doing those measurements and writing them down. Then it has a calculator. Oh, who knew? Yeah, so sometimes that's really important because it'll allow you to take those calculations on a border, break it up, and decide how many designs you can put into it. The calculator will come in very handy. Then we have the bobbin estimator, okay? The bobbin estimator, if you know how much thread is wound on your bobbins, you can put that measurement in, and when it starts getting low, it will flash at you and warn you that it is getting low and it's time to change, and take a look at your bobbin. Really nice feature if you hate running out of the bobbin and repairing your designs. Now, this is my favorite function of all. I'm so happy. It's a patent pending function, and it's really exciting because if you've never used it, you need to try it. It's my edge warning feature. Okay. So what's cool about the edge warning feature is when you're quilting, and especially when you're using the ruler base, you don't want to hit this front pole here. And so what the edge warning feature does is it will warn you when you're getting close to this so you don't mess up your design. So you will set your quilting area measurements. You'll move your machine up here to the top left and then down here to the bottom right. Then you can set it within a half to an inch measurement, and then it will let you know. I used it the other day, and man, where I was messing up my design and hitting this front pole and not sure where my ruler base was in alignment to my pole, it saved me, I cannot tell you how many times. I knew I was getting close, but I didn't know how close, and I kept messing up my design, and it's as I put that on and used the edge warning, when I got closer, it started beeping at me, beep, 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 and I stopped right there, tied off my stitch, and I was able to move on and then roll my quilt up, and I didn't mess up my stitches at all. It is a lifesaver. And then right here we have our little project. So let's go in there. This is where you will get, if you are quilting for somebody and you want to know how many hours you have spent on the project, you can put the hours, it'll tell you, and then it's going to give you some more information for the project hour and the lifetime of the machine hours. So they're two different points that you need to look at. So if you are actually quilting for others, this is what you want to use. And this is overall lifetime of the machine. So you can see how many stitches you're quilting. When you get up to that $1 million, we'll probably have a gold like the Delta Sky Miles. So we should have a 1,000,000 stitches club or something like that, or a 10 million stitches club. So it'll be really fun. Anyway, so that is in the toolbox. Some really cool features that we'll actually jump in and use in just a little bit. So let's just go through and recap how easy this is to use. Now, another thing that I really love about this machine are the handles. Now, when we were starting to make a change, I didn't know how I would really feel about the changes that they were going to make. But I have to tell you, they were some awesome changes. So right here are your little buttons on the left side to raise and lower your SPIs, okay? So you've got your arrows to move them up and then move them down, okay? Right here on the right side, you have your on and off button and your needle up, needle down button. I didn't know how I felt about these two being on the same side, and I have to tell you, I love it. When you're using ruler work, it's just so nice to be able to use your thumb and to start the machine, and then when you stop it, and then you can just do the needle up, needle down. And especially as you're holding the rulers or the templates with one hand, it's really nice not to have to reach over here, do your needle up, needle down. but you can all do it right here on this right button. So this is a really cool feature that I just adore. But it also makes it hard because our older machines have the button over here, so I sometimes forget. So I'll turn those machines on when I'm thinking that I'm just doing the needle up, needle down. So don't get confused, because once you've gotten this, you'll make it your own and you'll really love it. But there is a little bit of a learning curve because our brains are wired that way. So it's just a cool feature that I know you will enjoy as much as I do. So I'm actually ready to put my dust cover on, and before I start sewing it all together, this is the part where I want all of us to put it on the frame and quilt it, and then we're going to finish sewing it at a later time. And that was just how my brain was working as I was trying to develop the project. So I'm really excited about it, that it's now on the frame. And I finally worked through several of the processes. So when you are doing it, it's going to be very simple, and I'm going to give you the right measurements and everything like that. Where when I'm working on it, I'm trying to figure all of those out. So, but that's what I love. I love bringing these things to you to make it easier, and that's how my mind works, is like, what can we do to make your life easier and more enjoyable as a quilter? So now that we're on the frame, I have been just kind of doodling some ideas and designs. So going with the color theme of these sunflowers and this cute little fabric and the stars and everything, I tried to work with the colors. I thought it'd be fun to jump in and do something about bees and beehives. And we're from Utah, so we're the beehive state. So it kind of coincides that Unique is here, and so we're going to go with that theme. You don't have to, but I just think it's kind of fun. And it was fun to kind of start drawing out. So this is what I was going to write, is bee quilting. And I started right here with my cursive. So I did my B, not a B-E, but a B-E-E. I drew out a little bee, and then I did my quilting. So that's just one of the fun little things that I was doing. And then I really like this little paisley with the swirls. So I just practiced this. So sit down and practice and enjoy. Now we're going to include some designs with this cover instructions so that we can inspire you with ideas for how you can quilt it. Now don't worry, you don't have to use our ideas to be quilting, but you can use your own. I want you to interject your own way of quilting and your own ideas. But what I'm going to do is we're going to jump in right here, and I'm just going to go for it and have a little fun. I have put my green thread on, I have threaded it, and I've already gone through my pre-quilting checklist as I made sure that as I'm moving my machine and back and forth, front to back, that I couldn't feel any threads or lint underneath. I double checked it, I wiped off my wheels, I wiped off my tracks, and then I made sure that I was threading it correctly. There's so much to that pre-quilting checklist, which is really important for you to have a great time quilting. And if you'll follow those steps, you'll really avoid any issues that may come up. So let's jump over here, and what I want to show you is how, and I'm going to go through each of the modes. So I don't want to use my start-stop yet. I want to use my needle up, needle down, and it's on a full stitch, but I want to pull up my bottom thread so it doesn't get caught and dangled in my beautiful part. Even though I don't have a backing on this and I'm going to put a lining in my on my dust cover, I still want to practice pulling up my threads. Don't leave them dangling. And now I've inserted the needle with just the touch of my button, and now I'm holding onto this thread here, and if I pull it forward, look at what happens. It brings up your bottom thread so it's not dangling down. Practice, 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 and you'll become really, really good. Now I can just turn it on using my buttons, and this is precise mode. So regulated precise mode, when you stop moving the machine, the needle is going to stop. But when you start moving it again, so it's going to start sewing again. So this precise mode actually gives you a little bit of wiggle room to kind of think about the direction that you're going as you're quilting. So let's just jump in, and I'm just going to do some little paisleys right here in this area and swirls. So I'm just going to turn it on. And I'm just going to come around here. And I'm just going to do some paisleys, kind of go around like this. And now I'm just going to come in and do a swirl. And it glides so smooth. I love this machine. Now I'm going to come in, I'm going to come back around here. I'm going to do a swirl right here in this area. Sorry, I have to have my hand right there. I don't know why. It's just a Karla thing. It's not necessarily a quilter thing. It's a Karla thing. Now, I'm kind of caught in a corner, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up and go around and get out of that corner, and I'm going to come out and around. Do another little swirl like this. Now, if I felt like there was no way out of that corner, what I would do is I would stop the machine, pull my thread up, and then move to the next section. But I felt like there was a little bit of wiggle room right there so I could get out of it, and I just came as close to the edge as possible and went around it. So I'm going to finish that up, but that is regulated precise mode. So let's put it in regulated cruise with just a touch of finger, and now we're in cruise. Okay, I love cruise mode because cruise actually it doesn't stop stitching when you push the button. So let's jump in and see how the needle keeps going up and down. It doesn't stop with the movements. And what's nice about this little cover, you'll learn how the functions work on your machine as you're quilting, but then you'll put it on your machine when you're done, but you can look at it time and time again. And I'm just going to do a little one. Now I'm kind of caught in that corner again, but I'm going to come back around right here and just kind of echo my stitches to get out of that corner. And then I'm just going to come up and do my paisley. And then you can look at your stitches and say, man, I've gotten so much better than I was when I first started. Man, I could go on all day. Oh well, I'm done. Okay, so let's jump into manual mode. Okay, so with manual mode, the machine is out of stitch regulation, but it's kind of a fun mode to try, and I want you to try all the modes so you can know which mode of stitching would be best for you and your project. So get a feel for them. Don't work the same way every quilt, okay? That's not even fun. So explore all your options. So this is a fast machine. I'm going to turn it down to slower. Okay, because I'm not as fast as the machine, but I can use my buttons as I'm quilting. Once I get to a feel for how it's stitching, I can raise and lower my speed using my buttons. So let me show you how that works. All right, so I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to turn it on. See how it's just, and I want to make sure my movements coincide with what the machine's stitching, but I could probably move it up a little faster. I kind of made a little boo-boo there, but I don't care. I'm not. Get a feel for it and have fun. I love manual mode. It's kind of a fun mode to practice in. It's a little smoother feel. And now I'm going to do my little swirl. There we go. All right. So just practice and get a feel for it. And then use the base mode. It has the small, medium, and large base stitches. Learn which one is which so that you can use it along your quilt. Now, when I was tacking down this quilt, I just used the regular sewing mode and tacked it down. Because I'm going to sew my binding over it, or it's never going to be seen, so I'm not really worried about it. And so, those are the buttons and the functions, and you will learn to love the Unique 21 Elite. It's one of my favorite machines. I truly have enjoyed working with it and using it, and I'm just really excited for you as a customer. If you're thinking about upgrading, wow, now's the time with all those fun features, those extra tools that you have in the arsenal of this machine. Wow, you can make quilting everything you wanted it to be and so much more. So thank you for joining me And I can't wait to show you my finished project when it's done. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.